Just hang in there, guys.
Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey guys,
This meeting of the South Tom River Land Use Board was called pursuant to the provision of the Open Public Meeting Law. Notice of this meeting was published in the Asbury Park Press on February 12, 2022, and again on June 2nd, 2022. In addition, a copy of the notice was posted in the bulletin board, in the municipal building, and filed with the office of the borough clerk. We're going to start off with roll call. Mr. Colavito. Mr. Calhoun. Mr. Haley.
Here.
Ms. Graham? Here. Ms. P. Donato? Here. Mayor Hanshine? Councilman Roshausen?
Here.
Mr. Whalen?
Here.
And Mr. Juber?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Being we have two people out, Joe should step up.
Yeah.
What happened over at your place? Someone showed up last night.
Hey guys, can you just hold off because I'm in the meeting, so just hold on.
So first on the agenda, we have to approve the minutes from May 16th of 2022.
Can you
I'll make a motion for the minutes.
mute yourself?
I'll second.
Mr. Haley?
Yeah.
Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Ms. P. Donato? Yes. Councilman Roshausen?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
And Mr. Juber?
Yes.
And next we have new business, the resolution 2022-04, the minor site plan and use block variance for lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 1 South Main Street for Toms River Adult Daycare. What? We have David Himmelman here to speak about the adult daycare.
You're the applicant's attorney, correct?
Yes, I am. Good evening, yes. You want me to proceed or you want to
Yes.
wait? Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is David Himmelman and I represent the applicant, Toms River Adult Daycare Center. And we have notice of this meeting. I presume that you received that and jurisdiction is in order. I presume. Correct, okay, very good. I'm just going to give a brief opening sort of the application, and then we have several witnesses. Unfortunately, with the world of COVID we live in, our engineer and architect, one, Mr. Lieber, who's our engineer, does have COVID, so he's on the call, I have on my cell phone, and our architect, Mr. Cohn, unfortunately, did have COVID exposure. So I think it was best for him not to sign the meeting, so I apologize in advance, but I'm just going to grab my phone right now, actually, so they can hear everything. Mark, you can unmute now. Bill, okay, you can hear me, Bill, also? Okay, very good. Okay, we're just starting, so just hang with me. Okay. Okay. As I indicated, we are here tonight on behalf of Toms River Adult Daycare Center to reply to your board for a minor site plan, bulk variance, and use variance. And for the record, the property is block 1, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, located at 1 South Main Street, of course, here in the borough of South Toms River. The property consists of approximately 6.82 acres of land and is located in your mixed-use zone district and consists of 3 separate buildings, A, B, and C, and there's a total square feet of all the buildings of approximately 87,750 square feet. As you know from the application materials, the applicant proposes to renovate what's been designated as existing building A on the property, which consists of 10,674 square feet. Building A was previously occupied by a house of worship. The applicant proposes to use the building and the property for an adult daycare center use. You'll hear from our applicant that the hours of operation will be approximately 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and the facility will be closed on Saturdays and Sundays and on federal and state holidays. As you will also hear from our applicant, the adult daycare will have approximately 11 staff employees, and a mixture of that will be drivers, caretakers, managers, and you'll hear a description on that in a little while. The total parking presently at the site is 422. We're estimating that the need based upon the current mixture of tenants is approximately 270 spaces, and you'll hear both our engineer and planner address that. The adult daycare use, we believe, requires approximately 15 spaces, and as you hear from our applicant, the adult daycare customers or participants will be dropped off and picked up at the property by the applicant's minivans, buses, and occasionally they'll be parked overnight at the property. There will not be any drop-off of customers or their families at the property. It's anticipated, again, we'll hear from our applicant, that the maximum number count permitted within the building will be 120 participants as the business develops and grows. And the applicant does not propose any site improvements or any improvements throughout the warehouse buildings, as it's obviously an existing facility. As you know from the application, in essence, the primary relief we're seeking is a D-use variance pursuant to the municipal land use law at 4055 D70D1 relating to permitted uses and buildings, as the proposed adult daycare center is not permitted in the MU zone. There are several bulk variances that are also requested. They're pre-existing non-conformity for front yard setback, required parking space, and off-street parking. And as you'll hear from our planner a little later, we believe that the adult daycare use is and can be argued that it's inherently beneficial. And if not, we certainly will be able to argue in the alternative. And our planner will take us through the negative and positive criteria and review of the master plan and state plan and provide the justifications for the relief sought. With that said, I don't have any further questions at this time. I don't have any further statements at this time unless the board has any further questions of me. And I know our applicant was en route. I said there was an accident on the parkway. So you should be here any moment. But we could proceed with our first witness and have Mr. Thomas testify as soon as he arrives.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, good, terrific. Okay, so Mark, I think we're going to enlist you, and so I apologize. I do have Mr. Lieber on via FaceTime on my phone. I can move it closer so we make sure we hear him. But I guess the first thing we would do is have Mr. Lieber qualified as an expert and swear him in first. Right.
Raise your right hand, sir.
Okay?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
And say your name, please.
It's Mark with a C, and my last name is Lieber, L-E-B like Brian, E-R.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. In order to qualify you as an expert in civil engineering, can you give a brief background of your CV, your educational experience, and I know you've testified before numerous boards throughout the state, but just to have you qualify, thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for accommodating me. This was certainly not expected. But give you a brief background. I graduated from Drexel University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering. I continued on at night to complete the Rutgers Graduate School MBA program. And in 2004, I was licensed as a professional engineer. In 2005, I was licensed as a planner in New Jersey. And in 2006, I completed the Certified Municipal Engineering certificate program. Since then, I've worked both the public and the private sectors and testified before numerous boards throughout all of New Jersey, for applications similar to this one and others.
Thank you, Mr. Lieber. I guess we would ask for a motion to qualify Mr. Lieber as an expert in civil engineering.
I think the chairman can make a determination.
That's fine, however that works.
Disqualified.
Well, no, so he could testify as an expert.
You're proving him qualified.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I understand that you have prepared a minor site plan in connection with this application. I believe the latest revision was April 4th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Would you just, if you could, describe the site plan and obviously focus on the physical layout of the existing property and go over a description of the parking as well as the bulk variances that we are seeking, and describe just the general overall aspect of the property. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we did prepare a set of minor site plans, as described in this brief one sheets, and I'm looking at drawing sheet number 2 right now. It is entitled Existing Conditions. So you see here, block 1, 30 hertz, 632 acres in the Avenue, which is the mixed-use district zone. The street address is 1 South Main Street, that's near the intersection with Beaver Boulevard and South 166. Now, looking at this drawing, there's 3 primary structures on the property. One is labeled Building A, that's the largest one along the river. You have Building B, which is in the center of the property, Building C, which is near the street. Now, we had met with the landlord of the property, and if you look on sheet 3, there's a detailed table as to the breakdown of these buildings, which the total leasable floor is 87,750 square feet. There's a mix of tenants on the property right now. That includes some warehouse uses, there's a laser tag and bounce facility, there's office uses, a baseball training facility, and of course you have a 10,674 square foot vacant space, which is the subject of this application. If you go back to sheet 2, I shaded in where that vacant space is located on the property. It's facing South Main Street. It's located in Building A. Now, the applicant would use the side door that faces the parking lot as the main entrance. And in their operation, all patrons are picked up and dropped off by the owner's buses. So, as a result, we don't need that many parking spaces for this type of operation. I have worked on other facilities for adult daycare, and what we usually provide is some parking spots for the buses, which if you look on sheet 3, I labeled 5 buses parking spaces left of that plan. And it has the main entrance labeled, it's the door with the 2 triangles. And then I overlaid the floor plan from the architect within that building so you can see how it's laid out interior with regard to the function of the building. There's an alternate egress door which is facing South Main Street that shows the 4 triangles. It's labeled proposed alternate egress. Again, that's on sheet 3. Now, there are approximately 11 employees. So what I had done is I looked at a combined calculation of the parking for the entire site, which can be found on sheet 3. And if you include adult daycare, we figured the site would require a minimum of 270 parking spaces. And right now there's over 420. And 2 things I do want to point out is that this use is significantly less intense than the previously approved church that was on the property because that required a much larger parking demand. But the other thing is I feel my calculations are very conservative because I didn't even take into account the non-overlapping peak usages. For example, the daycare center is use is closed, so even if I discount all that, I feel like we have way more parking than we would ever need for this use. The application does not propose any site changes. And really what I would say this is more or less a change in tenancy. But there are a few zoning issues aside from the use variance that I do believe you pointed out. First is a non-conforming front yard setback, which is located at the corner nearest South Main Street of the building that the client seeks to lease. Again, that's an existing non-conformity. It's not really affected by the application, but it is in fact existing. The next one is that the parking stalls on this property are all 9 by 18. The requirements are 10 by 20, which again is an existing condition, and we do not seek to change that. There's also parking within a front yard on the property. Ordinance restricts parking in a front yard. Again, that's an existing condition, and we're not seeking to change any of that. Namely, and I'm just referencing the Van Cleef engineering letter dated May 9th, there was a rather lengthy list of waivers being requested. For example, stormwater management plans, a traffic study, it says drainage calculations. If you go on to page 4, it talks about street layout and easement right-of-ways, elevation data, proposed grading, locations of railroad right-of-ways, soil types, wooded areas, and a lot of the things on this list are more applicable to an application where there is something proposed to be constructed. But again, I'll be asking for relief from providing this length of data because all we're really seeking to do is just change a tenant in an existing building, utilize the space for this particular use, and the site would remain the same. The buses would come in off of South Main Street. They would go across the front of the building. There's presently a fire lane designated there. And they would turn right to the main entrance where the patrons would get off the bus and go inside. And then the buses could either go back out on their route or they could park in the parking lot. As you already heard, we anticipate the maximum occupancy here is 120 patrons. And of course, we have the use variance aspect, which we do have a separate planner here tonight to address for the board. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
So, Mr. Lieber, just so I can refer back to Van Cleef's memo of May 9th. So, there are many waivers that we're requesting, and I presume the justification for all of those waivers is primarily because it's existing. The applicant's not proposing any improvements, and it would really not be, I guess, appropriate to even consider some of these waivers, primarily because we're just occupying the building as a tenant, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Did you want to add anything else, Mr. Lieber, or you think you've covered everything?
I feel that I've covered everything, although if there's something that needs to be clarified, I'm here.
Sure.
Go ahead, sir.
Mayor, we don't have any further questions, Mr. Lieber, but you or the board members might.
I got a couple questions.
Sure.
One, when you say bus, are you talking about standard bus, or are you talking about that bus that holds 30?
Like a handicap. I'm assuming it would be like a handicapped bus. Is that
Yes,
correct?
it's going to be a mini bus, Mr. Thomas just arrived, so he'll be able to testify on that. But yes, it's not a large, big bus.
And you said that the parking is 11 by 18, standard is 10, it's supposed to be 10 by 20, but he's not looking to change it.
Well, the parking is existing. So Mark, what are the spaces on the site?
9 by 18.
The spaces are 9 by 18 and the aisles are 24 feet.
So the applicant wouldn't propose to modify that because that would be within the landlord's discretion. We wouldn't have any control over that.
Right, and I can tell you that a 10 by 20 space, that's usually more appropriate where there's shopping carts. ShopRite, Costco, those have 10 by 20s, but this is really not that type of a center. So, I'm comfortable with 9 by 18 because that's actually the industry standard for a parking spot.
even with the buses?
And I would just like to interject on that, because yes, I do understand your point. However, you did mention that the patients essentially would be dropped off to the facility, and that would mean that maybe a family member is taking them. If they have mobility, it's strictly busing?
Yes, no family members are dropping.
Because my concern would be somebody getting out of a car with a walker, and you do need a decent amount of space.
Right. Well, Mr. Lieber.
But it's strictly busing.
Right, they're going to be bused to the site, and there'll be no drop-off by anybody else. Everything will be coordinated, and the patrons or clients, if you will be picked up and bused in.
Where the bus is going to go when they're after they're dropped off?
You'll hear from the applicant, some buses will remain, but for the most part, they'll probably most likely be doing errands or dropping. They may take patrons to doctors and other trips as may be necessary, but the buses will not be parked there anyway, and no long-term during the day. It'll be in and out constantly, and you'll hear there's 2 different shifts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So the buses are constantly going in and out, dropping off, picking up, and doing errands.
Are the buses owned by daycare?
They will be either arrangements will be made, but the applicant will be the responsible operator, and we'll hire a company to do that, yes.
And what's the name of the
What's the name of the daycare?
Yes.
Well,
Who's it run by?
Well, my client is a private entity, so the applicant is South Toms River Adult Daycare LLC, but you'll hear from the applicant that he has other daycare centers under a parent company, and he can explain that.
So this isn't going to be called Tom's River Adult Daycare, it'll be called South?
No, I'm sorry, I apologize, you're right, correct.
It's Tom's River?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Giant.
But that's just the corporate entity, but you'll hear from the applicant, he has a parent entity that all of these daycare facilities that he operates are under, and that's sort of the flagship of his corporation. This is just a separate LLC that he sets up for each facility. But most of,
I'm not sure if you answered James' question.
well,
I think he was asking where the buses would be parked, or where would they go?
well, they will be parked at the direction of the applicant, and obviously coordinated with the landlord, but obviously in close proximity to the building where Mr. Lieber was describing. So,
And he described parking spaces for buses, correct?
Mr. Lieber, in your estimation, where would the buses, if they had to park temporarily while they are, if for some reason they're waiting to transport participants or they're waiting for people to come out, where would the bus be parked or located on the site? If you could describe that for us.
Yeah, the spaces that are nearest the main entrance on sheet 3, there's 5 in total that are.
Yeah, there are.
These are not school buses, these are like mini vans.
These are minivans.
They fit in a regular parking space.
Correct.
I don't know if Ocean County has like senior citizen transport, it's that type of a bus.
Ocean County.
That's a regular
They
bus.
have Ocean County, which is full-size buses too, though.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I was gonna, yeah, but these are basically minivans.
Okay.
Smith buses, yeah.
If you were to get this approval, would that be the only spot that's actually open there, that's vacant property or vacant building? Or is there still more vacant buildings in there?
We would be only occupying the building that's the within Building A, that 10,000 square
Yeah,
foot.
no, I see that. I was just wondering how much isn't being used? Because, like, is there other parts of this
That are vacant?
buildings that are vacant?
No, it's full.
Yeah, my understanding is
Oh, okay.
it's occupied.
So everything's full, so you could base it on what the parking is now? Because what
Correct.
I'm thinking is, like, if something was to come later down the road and it's in use and they needed, say, 200 parking spots, that now we don't have enough parking.
Right, and that's a very fair question, but we're going on the current assumption that it's all occupied and it's existing, and the parking the current parking reflects based on the current occupants.
Because don't they have like a family day and all that stuff there when they do the adult day? I know the one on Route 9, there's one right there across from Rita's.
That's a nursing home?
I believe.
Across from-
There may be.
Right next to Wawa.
Yeah, well, I'm familiar with generally what you're describing. Mr. Thomas, who I'm going to bring up in a minute, he could describe, there may be occasions where there may be special occasions to have family come in, but those are going to be very far and few between. For the most part, it's 2 shifts, buses pick up family members, pick up the participants, bring them to the site, do errands, and they're back and forth, and quite frankly, it's very limited. They'll be parked there during the normal business day.
And it's a Monday through Friday operation?
Yes.
Whereas the other businesses, their peaks tend to be weekends, correct?
Generally tend to be more weekends, yes.
Okay.
Correct. Which is why we thought this was a good fit, actually.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, did you have any other questions for Mr. Lieber?
I have one.
Sure.
Where you talked about the access for the buses, you said they're coming in off of South Main, driving through the fire lane, and then dropping them off there. Will they be only going out through that driveway in between buildings A and B? Or will they be going back out the driveway they came in? Because that's a really dangerous, trying to get those vans out of that intersection would be.
No, the driveway that goes around the front of the building is a one-way driveway.
All right, well, like I said, the access, the driveway that comes in, the access is, and it's been a problem, even going back to when the other tenants were in that facility there, people pulling out, causing accidents and stuff. Having the vans stack up there would make it even worse.
Worse, yeah, and I don't think that's going to be an issue because I don't think the vans are going to be backed up there. It's interesting, I've been there a couple of times. I actually went before the meeting and I drove around all the buildings and did exactly what you suggested, and you're right. So I think the way Mr. Lieber is describing, I think will work.
So it's coming out further back on
Coming
South
out.
Main Street.
Right, exactly.
So is it coming in, you got the main building here, it's coming in on the side, right? And then there's a narrow opening that goes into the back between building A and building B.
Correct.
Are you telling me that they're gonna drop off and then
No,
take
they're
that bus between there and the baseball, hitting the batting cages or whatever?
Well, no.
all the way around.
Yeah, is that what they're doing, or they're going, you said one way, so are they coming in, dropping off, and then looping all the way around by the Hartnett bus company that's in the back? Is that what they're doing?
Mark,
No,
that's
they're
what you
coming
said.
back out the middle driveway, I think.
So you're coming in the middle driveway, you're coming out the middle?
No.
they're coming in here.
They're coming in here.
Yeah.
They're turning here, and they're gonna come through, they're dropping off
And they
here,
come here.
and then they're gonna come back out here.
But you know this point here.
Yeah, that's 15 feet, there's nothing there. We could fit a fire truck through there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, when you said one way in, one
I
way
thought
out.
it was that's fine.
He's correct, yeah, and it's confusing. And that's why I went to the site to try and get it. But they're going to be dropped off right in the front by the entrance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the entrance is like on the side.
Well, on the
Yes, on the
side,
side,
fair enough. Fair enough, right. Fair
I don't
enough.
know, Mr. Attorney, you shoot yourself in the foot here.
No.
Mr. Thomas,
He's
you
right.
received him, that's Mr. Thomas?
Yeah.
Are you awake? We boring you a little bit?
Okay, so I'm ready or what?
Yes, you're ready. Come on up.
You're
Thomas.
up.
I will stick.
Or, hang on, don't move.
Sir,
One more.
I have a question for you.
I'm sorry.
You in trouble
In the
here?
package I received last month, during our meeting last month, there was a letter from the property owner authorizing, notarized letter to the applicant to make all decisions. Twice you said, as far as parking, it's up to the landlord.
Well, what I mean by that is if the board were to impose conditions, obviously we would need to speak to the landlord, but generally he's got authority to present the application, I think is what he was saying in his letter.
I thought already he had all decision-making authority.
Well, he does, but again, I think he would need to consult. I understand your point. I think that there's an issue, for example, I don't know that we would be authorized to change the parking field.
I just want you playing us, you know.
So basically, you're saying the
No, I'm not
landlord
playing.
should be present as well?
What's that?
Should the landlord be
No,
present as
just,
well?
no, just,
No, what I meant by that is if the parking spaces had to be adjusted size-wise, for example, Mr. Lieber was talking about that, I don't know that I understand your point and I don't disagree with you, and I wasn't trying to be disrespectful or, yeah.
I
You
didn't
would
take it that
essentially
way.
have to.
What's that?
I didn't take it that way, just don't want any confusion.
No, I understand. I got it. We're on the same page.
I
Yeah.
got another question.
Sure.
Mr. Lieber staying?
He's staying as well as my
All right, no,
architect.
I just want to make sure, because we do have public here, I didn't know whether you wanted to stop in each one, or you want to wait till the end for the public.
I'm gonna stay.
That's
All
up.
right, so
that's
then
up
we'll
to-
wait till the end for the public.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
As long as that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to step on your name.
Sorry, I was taking a nap.
That's okay. Good evening, Mr. How are you,
Yes,
Thomas?
very serious, by the way. I don't know why.
Serious?
Very serious.
We're
Put
focusing
me,
real
you put me on Steve.
No, no, it's okay, relax.
Would you raise your right
Okay.
hand?
I'm sorry, my name is
Raise
Thomas.
your right
Raise your right hand.
Oh, this one here.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
And your name, sir?
Thomas Victor.
Last name, please?
Thomas Victor. Victor is the last name.
B-C-O-T-O-R.
D-I-C-T-O. Thomas T-H-O.
I got you right.
Okay.
Good evening, Thomas, how are you?
Thanks.
So you've obviously, sorry you were late, but you obviously heard Mr. Lieber testify. So I think the board would just want to hear some information from you. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and maybe we can obviously have members of the board also follow up. So if you could just describe for us your relationship to the applicant. You're an LLC, correct?
Yes.
And you are the managing member of that LLC?
Yes.
And the LLC for this application is?
South Tom's River Adult Care Center, LLC.
Okay,
So
very
is
good.
it South Tom?
No, it's Tom's River.
I'm sorry, Tom's River Adult Care, not Adult Daycare, it's Adult Care Center, LLC.
Very good. Okay. So can you also describe for us, my understanding is you've got sort of a parent entity that is overseeing or is related to your affiliate LLCs, and the name of that entity is?
Garden State Care.
Garden State Care. So currently you have or will be operating how many adult daycare facilities in New Jersey?
21, one in each county.
Well, you don't have them now, correct?
We have 3 of them now.
Right.
Ocean, Middlesex, and Mountain County.
Right, but I guess your intention is to expand. and
We have 21 centers.
Okay, so for members of the board of the public who may not be familiar, could you just describe generally the adult daycare operation business and what you guys do? Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, guys. I'm the CEO of Garden State Care Company. It's a new company. We provide care, not only adult care, but we provide all kinds of care: senior care, in-home care, pharmacy care, food care, and beauty care. We provide beauty care for seniors. So after pandemic, people were suffering. I'm just recording this back so people can see me because my English is not too good. So people were suffering during the pandemic, and now they really need help, and they really need somebody to get them out from this depression because they were staying home for more than a year. So they need help. They need to come out and do some activities. So in Garden State Care Company, we help seniors to live up to 100 years. About this? No, I'm just kidding. But all the scientists now, they work on extending life to people, to human beings. I've seen many things around that will help people to live longer. Like, for example, I have a device, it's my own invention, but it's a toilet seat has a sensors that analyze the human waste and send you a report, a health report to your phone, says that your diabetes is like 80, your high blood pressure is like 120. It gives you a reading without doing anything, just analyzing your human waste.
So that equipment would be available at your...
That equipment would be available, yes.
Okay. So if you could describe for a little bit operationally, so from my understanding is that you're providing personal health care services, social entertainment programs, and transportation to and from the facility, correct?
Yes, yes.
Can you describe for the board, because we obviously had some discussion with Mr. Lieber, how does the transportation work? What type of buses are there? And if you could also describe, my understanding is that you'll have a morning and afternoon shift for your program, so if you could describe that for the board. Thank you.
Okay, the adult care department we have in Garden State Care, it's one of the care we provide for seniors, as I said, pharmacy care and food care and others. The adult care is a program. The state of New Jersey, they have a program for senior citizens that they can come out and spend their day, do some activities, dance, get some music lessons, art, keep them busy. And also, not only that, we have a nurse on site that can check them if they want to, check their blood pressure every hour. We don't mind. We have the nurse on site all the time.
So there'll be a registered nurse
Yes.
there, normal
Full-time.
business hours.
Yes.
She'll provide basic medical needs as necessary.
Right.
But obviously, if somebody needs more elaborate care, I presume they would have to be taken to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now, and then you're going to have a director of the center, correct?
Yes.
Someone who will oversee that.
I usually direct the center at the beginning, so I just make sure that everything is okay, and then I can train one of the directors or one of the people that I have in the other center and make him a director.
Okay, and then you indicate, I understand, that you're going to have 3 or 4 drivers?
We'll start with 3, 4 drivers.
Okay, and what type of, explain to a little bit about how the transportation works and the type of buses you have and whether you lease or how does that work?
Okay. At Garden State Care Company, we provide transportation for seniors. Right now we have 9 buses, 9 24 passengers buses. It's not too big, it's like 24 passengers. We assign 3 buses to Tom's River, adult care center, our center here. So 3 buses will go in the morning, we pick them up at...
No, he said that they were going to be vans. 24 passenger buses are not vans.
Well,
It's
minivans,
No,
or
minivan.
buses, I'm sorry.
It's not that van like 7 passengers. Yeah, it's 18 and up. Because if we don't want to make more trips, like keep the traffic busy and be condensed, but we just want to have one like enough bus to bring enough people, and we don't have to keep the road busy.
Well, my initial leader
But we-
testified that the parking space at the property would be sufficient to be able to
Yes.
put that type of bus in. Is that your understanding
Yes.
as well?
This is 9 by 18.
So how long is it?
That bus is longer than 18 feet.
A 24 passenger bus.
No, we do have, no, we do have 15, 18, and 24 as it's all the company under the company, the Garden State, and we can how do you call it, like spread the bus as they need it. Like maybe today we have more, so I can send one bus from the other center, and we can always work. The only thing that we don't want to make double work and double check and keep the road busy for traffic and all this stuff. And
So how big so the size would range from what? Is the smallest minibus or the bus?
the smallest we have is 15 passengers.
Okay.
15 passengers.
Passengers.
15 passengers,
Yeah.
not 15.
No,
15
okay.
passengers.
No,
No, not 15 foot, right?
15 passengers.
Okay.
And 24 passengers, by the way, and 18 passengers, not 4.
Yeah, they're all passenger rated.
Right.
So I'm sorry for...
So, explain to the board then, how would the transportation routes work?
Yeah, the driver comes in the morning, punch in the center, and then check the buses, like, check his bus and make sure it's safe to drive, make sure he has the wheelchair, all the safety tools he has to help seniors bring them down. I'm sorry, I was just...
No, it's fine.
But you hear me, right? Understanding? Very good. Okay, so we go to the residents, like either senior home or their house. We call them, the driver call them. They know anyway that they're getting picked at this time, so most of them, they are ready. But if they're not ready, we'll check on them, make sure they are okay. My uncle passed away, we didn't know anything about him like a month after. So I'm very, very, very serious about this. I won't let it happen as long as I'm alive. No. So we make sure that people come down, take them in our bus to the facility. The driver will help them from the door of the buses right to the center inside. One by one, walk with him to his chair inside the center. Our safety is our first priority, let's say it this way. Safety is number 1. Keeping our client, our seniors safe, they're gonna love coming to us. So we provide a safe environment.
Okay, so
Two
the...
questions.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Two questions. One, you said the driver comes into the establishment in the morning, punches
Yes.
in, and he goes out, checks his bus, make sure it has the wheelchair and everything. So the buses are parked there overnight.
Yes, 3 buses, as I said, 3 buses in the beginning, and maybe it's going to be more, but 3 buses by 24, I think it will cover the 120 that we are
Yeah,
planning.
because it contradicts a little bit with what you said, that the buses won't interfere, because it's only Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So the parking lot will be open in the afternoon. That's why I'm asking. And another thing, you said that your driver comes in and picks everybody up, right? He comes in and he walks them in one by one. So
Yes.
the other guys are waiting on the bus? Why he's walking them in one by one? Because that's not safe.
No, we have caregivers at the site that they are one for each 10 people, one caregiver for each 10 people. We call him a group leader, let's say. So the group leader, he comes out at the morning, he helps his group if they are in the bus. One by one, as I said, to their chair inside, make sure they are safe, the trip was fine, was comfy, make sure his group is happy, because based on their happiness, they getting paid extra, or bonus or whatever. Because we can just let everybody like under many leaders, and we're not going to be able to be more specific and more in caring of our seniors. You understand?
So how many, so you'll have what, approximately 6 caregivers? One for every 10?
No, 11, 12.
Well, no, initially, you'll have a total
Initially,
of
yes,
6
yes, initially
caregivers,
yes,
right?
initially 6.
And they'll be responsible for approximately, so one caregiver for approximately every 10 persons, is
Yes,
that correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So they will meet the bus out, the caregivers will coordinate with the bus driver, bring everybody into the facility. Okay. So, so then, do you operate with shifts, a morning and an afternoon? How does that work?
Well, the program provide 2 shifts a day.
Right.
From 8 to 12 and from 12 to 4. But to make, and at this time, to make the center ready for the next shift, we have to do like, before they used to come and go like at the same time, but now we have to make like a 30 minutes or 1 hour to make the place ready, sanitize it, make sure, you know, it's ready for the new people to come. So we're gonna provide 2 shifts. As I said, 6 in the morning that the drivers come, but 8 in the morning we start in the center by the nurse check them up in her room, make sure everything is good, and then they go to get their breakfast at the same place in the center. And what else?
No, so,
You're talking about the shifts.
right, so
Yeah,
so the last shift will be from approximately, would you say 1 to 4? Approximately, or did you say 12? I just want to clarify.
8 to 12, and from 12:30 to 4.
Okay,
Or
perfect.
40. 2
Okay.
shifts.
And that half hour in between first shifts is to
To prepare the
sanitize
place
and prepare for the
for
next shift? Okay.
I do have a question that the chairman mentioned regarding safety. You said that it's very important to you, and this location happens to be right on the waterway. And at an adult daycare facility, I'm sure you'll have patients with cognitive issues like dementia. My question is, will you have some type of safeguard in place to ensure their safety once they're within the building, that they can't just get out and wander onto the highway or, God
Into the
forbid,
river?
into the water?
And just to supplement that, I believe you explained to me, obviously, and our professionals, that you have security systems in place,
Yes.
and you have personnel there, so why don't you maybe answer
Right,
that?
yes. As I said, it's adult daycare. It's a daycare care, like children daycare. They go from the morning until they finish. They're not allowed to go out. You know, if they go out with a trip or something, they have to be scheduled, and one caregiver, as I said, per 10 people. So there's no way that somebody can go by himself and go walk out and go by the lake or something, because we're not going to let them in. Because going to the facility, we have the nurse and the director office right at the door to the facility. So whoever coming or whoever is going out, we will know who's coming out. So nobody will be allowed out.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you also going to have security cameras?
And we do have, every place now has a security camera, audio and video, yes.
And what about some type of sensor or alarm, so somebody
Yeah,
tried to exit?
keypad or something.
Right.
So.
I'm a technology guy, I'm sorry.
And it's going to be more than one door, right?
I'm sorry?
You said that your door will be covered by the nurse and security.
Yeah, we have,
The main
yes.
door, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right, there's other egress, yeah, that's, I'm looking at the doors. that-
So I presume, Thomas, that each door will have some type of security system and will be locked as
Yes.
well, correct?
Yes.
So will you have someone stationed at those other locations within the building, not only the front door, to make sure that no one can exit during your shifts?
No.
Well, I'm sure no one will exit because we're gonna use the most,
No, I understand that, but as a precaution, are you going to have somebody who's securing the other exits?
yes, of course, the security company will do that. And
No, no, I'm talking about your personnel. Any of your caregivers or anyone else, while the programs are ongoing, are you going to have another, someone within your organization monitor, not only the front door, because the nurse is out there, I understand that, but the other exits that are in the
Yes,
building? You're going to have
yes,
somebody
yes,
watch
yes.
those, and they'll be alarmed with the cameras, correct?
Yes, as far as I know, in this location, there's 3 exits,
I believe so, yes.
right?
We'll check
yeah.
that.
Right?
One in the front, one to the rear, one in.
Yeah. Yes, so-
Besides the main,
Yeah, outside the main
there's actually 3 other doors.
You're gonna lock those?
Which one did that?
You're
Yeah.
gonna lock the exits?
Well,
You can't lock the
No,
exit.
no.
Well, however, he's going to secure those, but the point is, block them from the, so that nobody can get out, you know, during the.
We
But I
can
actually have a
come
question
in,
on the plan, the one door, and I was gonna ask your planner before this, because there's open space outside the doors before they go back out towards the other parking lot.
Right.
And it states the one door right there, it says door remains locked. Now, that would be confusing in an emergency if that the doors are locked.
No.
I think there would have to be some type of a panic, you know, an alarm, but as far as keeping that door locked, if somebody was in that building and disoriented and went to that door and then was trapped, that could be an issue. So
Fair enough.
keeping a door locked, I think secured,
What I meant by that was, I was just concerned.
no, that's on the plan.
No, I understand that. My question was, I just wanted to follow up with your
Yeah, so
question.
everything is,
That, God forbid, somebody is walking out and that somebody, one of the staff members can stop that and, you know,
Yes.
and bring them back. That's what I meant.
can I just ask one real quick question too, just to confirm, because I know you talked about having a nurse on site, but this is a social daycare, not a medical daycare.
no, not a medical, yeah, you're right, absolutely, yeah. Very smart. Yes, the medical adult daycare, they need more license and more,
Yes.
more requirements.
Certifications and stuff are different.
As I said, we have 3 doors. 2 of them will be emergency doors. Emergency door means they have the lock is a security. As a security, we know who's open, we see, come to my phone. So the 2 doors will be emergency door. We put a sign for emergency. Nobody's using it, so they know that they're not supposed to touch it, otherwise beeping or something. But 1 door by the parking lot. This will be not the one in the front by the highway. It's not safe to drop off or the one by the parking lot. This is the one that most likely will be the entrance and exit to control who's coming and who's leaving. That's it. That's all.
How long have you been in business?
Me since 2021, in the middle of the pandemic, but I've been in business since 2009. My wife is a pharmacist. We started a pharmacy business in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And now we have 3 pharmacies. We don't treat people as numbers. We treat people personally. Like we build personal relationship. That's why I want to get more into the social business. And I love to know people. I love, you know.
But just to get to the matter at hand, you only have approximately a year in the adult daycare business?
The adult daycare business, I have more than a year experience running a center in Berkham Boyd that one of my colleagues that he was traveling overseas, so I was running the center for him. So I know how to build the insurance, how to register a new client, how to do all the management work, and I have what kind of program that I can use, all kind of thing that can run the facility. I'm very 100% aware of.
The facilities that you have right now, where's the closest one located?
Homedale,
Homedale?
yeah.
And how
So
long has that been open?
this year, everything will be open this year. The start.
So you don't have any that are
We have
actually
pharmacy.
physically open?
We have 3 pharmacies.
No, I'm talking about adult daycare.
3.
3?
One in East Brunswick, Middlesex County, one
they're
in
currently
Monmouth
open?
County, Homedale, and this one, Ocean County, South Country.
And they're open.
The other ones are open now, or they're
They-
in
No,
construction
it's,
also?
oh, I'm sorry, it's construction, it's the,
Okay.
we get the
So
approval by
nothing's
the,
been opened yet?
no,
Yeah,
no, no,
nothing's-
but I was talking about my experience in the past in Birth and Voice Center. I can provide all the information for this, I can even provide referrals from the customers, from the clients there. But, no, we don't have any, centers open officially.
And
But we get approved by
I'm
the
just out of
board.
curiosity, see, I got the impression from when I was reading that Tom's River Adult Care Center, that there was probably a location in Tom's River somewhere. Because you're calling it Tom's River, and you're not in Tom's River, is what you're saying.
No, oh, okay. I call it Tom's River because we're not gonna only be taking care of people in South Tom's River, maybe somebody, you
But you're
know.
not just gonna be taking care of people in Tom's River either.
If we can take care of, this is gonna, we don't wanna make it like north or south because on our company, just wanna call it, you know, as short as possible. Like, just call it, we can add S or whatever if you want, if you want it to be
That has
more like
nothing to
in
do with
five.
whether we.
No,
We're separate municipalities, and I think that's what he's getting at, is you're.
yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, we can add like an S, dot, if this is, will
No,
satisfy
no.
the board, we can just make it.
No.
No,
I know what you're saying.
I'm under the impression like, okay, Tom's River Adult Daycare, you're starting in South Tom's River. So if you were starting, I just assumed, which you know what happens when you assume, that there was a Tom's River Adult Daycare and this was another
Well,
branch.
yeah,
I think.
well, he was saying basically he's gonna look and open one in each county, so this would be the only
Yeah.
location in Ocean County.
That's why I was also curious because of the fact that he said that.
Yeah, I think if I could, Tom, if I could interject on that. So my understanding is you set up this LLC under the name of Tom's River Adult Daycare with the idea that it would capture, obviously it's located in South Tom's River, but it would capture potential residents from Tom's River and the towns in the general facility,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's
if I
what-
call it South Tom's River Adult Daycare, people will come here to pay the money here. They're gonna think that it's a township center, so this kind of be like, you know, business move. I don't mind people come here and pay,
May I
but
ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What educational background do you have that makes you more likely to be able to run this?
all my qualifications or just in this business?
Just this
Every-
business.
This business, as I said,
That's all the board really is concerned about.
No, I
my background, like,
disagree, because I think you might have something in your background that would make you qualified to run a business
well, I
like
can
this.
just give you like a small,
Yeah,
yes. I was born in Egypt, I'm Egyptian.
okay.
I came here when I was 21. I worked all kind of work, New York City, New Jersey City, but all kind of work, discriminator, everything. And I was graduated from Sorbonne University, I don't know if you know, but it's in France. Sorbonne, in French arts literature. Do I say it right?
Yes.
Yeah, literature.
Yeah, it's one of those
Because we
words.
call it literature,
Uh-huh.
so literature, so I was studying and I have a bachelor degree. But when I came here, I had no English, so I had to study English in Hudson County Community College. Then I studied computer science. Then I worked for Kodak company as a field technician for 3 years. Then I had my real estate license. In the time that the market was very high, like, you know, and thank God I was able to make good money. I'm not denying it. I made good money. And before the crash happened, I was a little bit smart and I was able to get rid of all the houses and just keep 2 of them. So that helped me a lot during that crash. So thank God for this. And after this, I get into the 7-Eleven business. I had 3 stores in Trenton, one in Trenton, Hamilton, and the other one in near it was a franchise store I was running. It was not my store. I was a franchisee, but I was running 3 stores. 2 are mine and 1 for the company, corporate store. And then I came, and also I opened the pharmacy when my wife got the license, the pharmacy license. Also, she was born in Egypt and she came here after we married. We opened the pharmacy in 2009. Yeah, 2009 in East Brunswick. And thank God we did very good. Thank God in the first year and 2, because we didn't make the people feel that we here to take your money. We need to take care of you, not just be like, maybe, I mean, CVS or Walgreens, what's the difference? The difference is Walgreens, they treat him as numbers, but we treat him, as I said, we build personal strong relationship.
Did you, Thomas, you also did work in the adult daycare business, correct?
Yes.
Why don't you describe that a little bit?
As I said, it's a program.
No, did you work with someone?
Oh, you retailer?
No, didn't you work for an adult daycare facility and manage and operate? Why don't you explain that a little more?
No, it's the program, we pick them up and.
No.
Like
Did you, did you work for someone? You were the.
I work for the center, okay.
Yeah.
I get it, okay. So, we have a software called Universal. It's a kind of software that.
No, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah,
Did you work for a company that
Yes.
owned and operated adult daycare facilities?
right.
Can you describe that? I think that's what the question was.
You mean how to?
No,
they go
did you work for somebody else?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us who that is and how long you worked for that?
Oh, that was my colleague, as I said, he traveled overseas and he left the center for a year, so I was able to run the
And
center.
where was that center located?
Perth Boy.
For family.
I was not clear in this, I'm so
I
sorry.
just wanted to clarify. All right, so you
But
worked,
I remember I said it, right?
so you worked, you did, I just wanted to.
No, yeah.
I think that was an important question, so I just wanted to bring that up. So you worked for that facility for Fanboy for about a year. What were your general duties?
A director of the center.
So you ran all operations
Yes,
of the
instead of my
center.
cousin. So anytime I have a problem, I call him, he tell me what to do.
So you handled
Yeah,
operations from insurance claims, from managing the facility,
right.
to coordinating with transportation, all the social everything that you would be doing
Yes.
here, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You threw him out,
What's that?
you threw him out, you cleaned him up.
Right, that's right, right?
It's the gray hair, and not, although I have less of it. So,
Fire.
I don't think we have any further direct questions. I hope I answered your question. He answered your question, but obviously, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, Thomas is here to answer any questions you might have.
I got some questions.
Sure.
I'm confused by your testimony.
Well, we can clarify it.
You've said minivans, he says 8, 15, 24 passenger vans,
Buses.
big buses, buses.
No buses, no buses.
Which is it? Well,
I think,
is it a maxi van? I mean, you have a fleet of vans?
I have pictures, how
You
about?
have a fleet?
Yeah.
No, I have
That's
pictures.
gonna be.
Pictures would be doable.
What are you talking about a sprinter?
Picture?
Are you talking about a sprinter?
No, I'm sorry?
Are you talking about a sprinter, man, a 15-passenger sprinter?
Oh, you're the man. You're the man. Yes.
Sprinter van is the one that Mercedes came out with, it's like a tall van. you
Oh,
stand
okay,
up in the
yes,
corner.
yes,
Yeah.
I guess I apologize for this. I apologize for
But
this.
it's-
Someday we can sell them that one.
My understanding is that it was, they're not school buses.
But let me show you the photo of you.
So-
Minivan means a caravan. It's a
Now,
little-
I understand.
Yes.
I understand.
They don't
Is
fit
it a
15
bus
or
like
24
this?
people.
You're absolutely right.
No, this is like this.
That's what I'm thinking, it's a little bit transit. Yeah, you can lock the wheelchair, lock your.
One bus, or she drives.
If I could ask our engineer, I think you, to answer your question, Mr. Chairman. Mark,
This is the bus, this is the
Mark.
bus.
Can you come closer?
Yeah,
Oh.
okay, you got it, you see it?
all right, Mark, can you do me a favor? Mr. Thomas addressed the board. He said there were 3 types of
And that was
busing.
14.
One had 24 passenger, the other one I think is 18 and 15. What's the size, the length of a 15 passenger minibus? You know?
It's like the average.
Yes, hold on. I asked our engineer if he could give us an estimate on the 15 passenger minibus.
Well, that's the small one.
That's small, we may, but in terms of, no, but if the board's concerned, we could restrict that.
My concern was, it's gonna piggyback the size of the parking space.
No, that's what I'm asking.
The minimum one, but now you
I
have
agree
a
with
review.
you. I agree with you. So Mark, what's the length of the 15 passenger minibus?
And the width.
And the width, do you know?
Yeah, I do. It's the exact same length 19.4 feet. That's a full-size Ford F-150 or the Toyota Tundra pickup truck. It's the exact same length to the inch.
Okay, so that would fit into the space.
And how about width?
And how about width?
I want to say the width is 7'8", but I have to check.
All right, so can I would like to ask Mr. Thomas, I think, and I understand where the board's going on, and they're all legitimate questions. Thomas, could we, if the board had concerns about whether the 24 or the 18-foot minibus or bus could fit into the space, would you be able to, from an operational standpoint, limit yourself to the 15-passenger minibus only for this facility?
Yes. Actually, this bus that you just saw, it's 15 passengers. This is one of the 15 passengers that we have. And also, if you guys want to know more about our company and our center, here, you can just scan this. This is my business card, and people use this today. So if you guys can scan this, and it will tell you everything about our company. But this is the bus. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
It's 15 passengers. You see it?
Yeah.
But it will be in different color because each county is different color. Like we have in Middlesex County like this, but it's blue. But it says Brownsville Adult Care Center.
I'll tell you what my concerns are.
Sure.
And I believe that some of us here have a couple concerns. My concerns are that we're not giving enough information. The information isn't coming across too clear. I understand that there's 3 facilities, but none of them are operating. You know, the way it's being presented, it's like, it's pretty much like I'm giving you your favorite food, but I'm serving it to you in garbage. I don't understand a lot of the things that's going on here.
No,
And I'm trying, like, you said you're qualified to run the center, and you're qualified to ask questions. And the guy that owned the center that you came under, left the country and allowed you to run the center. But you never asked what qualifications, never answered what qualifications made him eligible to run that center.
Yes.
You just said that somebody left him in charge.
Well, no,
No, listen, Fred, real quick.
No,
If I left my son in charge of my house, he's still not the head of the house. I understand what I'm saying. So, what I'm trying to understand, what are we actually presenting? He says, I have 3 daycares.
Yeah.
But none of them are open. I have
But
8
they have
vans,
answers, by the way.
but they're buses.
And I have very strong answers.
There's no medical care, but there's foot care, beauty care, senior care.
Okay,
It's like a heart monitor right now, it's up and down.
I understand.
Let me give you the check.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Tom.
Let me give you the check in this. All this is going to be done in the center. Either beauty or food or pharmacy. It's separate as a name, so we make everything separate. Like beauty care, you can go to the website for beauty care. It's like you see in the website. And I can give this to guys here to scan to see the website if you are interested. But also I was approved for business plan for 4 million. I have the paper and I submitted a strong business plan with very professional people in this business. And I also, as I said, since 2009, I'm in business. I'm in the healthcare business, running a pharmacy. And a pharmacy means dealing with adult daycare center. This is where we get our customer from. We are the most people unfortunately use it. So we always in contact with adult daycare centers. That's why when my friend left, he knows that I have the experience, not the 1 year experience, but before, since 2009, dealing with adult daycare every day. They know me, in the adult daycare business around Middlesex County and Monmouth County, and even here in Lakewood. They know me very well. I'm in this business for a long time and I have enough experience. and I know how to build the insurance to get good reimbursement, not to just, somebody come and, I have a professional people to work in the company. It's not, the bank didn't think that I will be fair because I submitted 20% in order to give me the loan. So if they think that, it's gonna fail, I think they were not going to give me the loan. And risk my house.
Just to ask a follow-up on
Yes.
this question. So you worked for that facility in Perth Amboy,
Yes.
and you were hired by the owner, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were hired presumably because of perhaps your experience in the healthcare field, I presume?
Right.
Okay. And so I guess what you're trying to explain to the board is you've developed even a greater sense of qualifications by working in that center for over a year, correct?
Just to add to this, during that year, I increased the sales. About 35% more because I was able to understand what's the right code to build the insurance in order to send the right money. Some people, they need bath. The state of New Jersey paid for the shower for the seniors at the facility. I think we provide shower, right? One bathroom shower.
Yes.
Yes. So those services, other facilities, they don't want to deal with this. Hire someone, take a shower. They don't. No, we want to do this. This is the extra care we will provide. I was able to increase 35%, and he even offered me. I didn't want. Thank God, God gave me enough. And my target will never be money. By the way, just give me a permit for 1 year and see how it goes.
The other, Mr. Chairman, the other part of this is before you can operate an adult daycare facility, you have to be licensed by the Department of Health, as you probably know, and the Department of Community Affairs Health Division. So Mr. Thomas, currently my understanding is that you're correct. He's received 2 approvals to operate similar facilities, one in East Brunswick and one in Hometown. They are currently under construction now. The Department of Health will approve both of those facilities as well as the Department of Community Affairs. Because you need to have that license before you can operate. And certainly should the board approve this application, then Mr. Thomas would have to file a similar application with the Department of Health. So the Department of Health also does look at qualifications. They're looking at who's going to be operating the facility. They look at the employee makeup that will be there, what services will be offered. So
Monthly inspection by the state.
my understanding is not just the local jurisdiction here with the land use approvals, but obviously the state also does review all aspects of the license requirements, which Mr. Victor would have to seek those approvals. So you're correct that currently those other 2 things are not operating, but I think what Mr. Victor is trying to explain is that he has years of experience in operating in the healthcare field. He did work for over a year for a similar facility, adult daycare, and this is a business venture that he had decided to embark on pre-COVID, and now is looking to provide these services throughout the state of New Jersey. So I apologize for the confusion, but I hope we clarified that.
Mr. Mayor, right? I'm sorry. I thought you are the chairman. I'm sorry.
No, that's just,
No?
he's the chairman.
He's the chairman. Mr. Gregory.
This is also where the mayor and council.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're not, they don't
okay,
belong
okay,
to those
so we can
names.
talk freely, yeah? So,
At least not yet, right?
Mr. Chairman, in this town, I have so much love for this town, I don't know why. And in my mind, I have so much good things to do for this town. And again, just give me a chance to make this town beautiful. And the seniors here are happy, live longer. And I think even like this, we can pay more for assisting them. No, just kidding. But we will make them happy. We will make them happy. I can guarantee that.
My thing is, you said you're gonna make the seniors of this town happy. Where it coming from?
I think our community, not to speak for you, but really Ocean County in general, our community, not just South Tom River. It is a beneficial service, and
Yes.
I do recognize that. And I think it's something that we definitely need more of in Ocean County. we have a lot of senior citizens. So there's definitely a need for this type of business.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I can tell you that I grew up in Ocean County, and when I grew up here, the senior population was just starting to come as people age, and, you know, I'm sure you're aware, the senior adult communities that have, I remember growing up here in the 60s and 70s, particularly in parts of, you know, the southern part of the county. And I think, quite frankly, I think Mr. Victor's goal is to attract seniors from all areas of the county. It wouldn't just be necessarily Toms River, South Toms River. But I can tell you that, you know, the county is made up of a large senior population. So I agree with you that I do think there's a tremendous need for that, which is why this location was strategically looked at. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Just one last thing I will say. But personally, I have 9 children.
Yeah, you.
9 children. 4 for my wife.
You need money for college. So that's why you're coming to South Town.
No, I have 4 for my wife, and 5 from which is humility, integrity, abundance, and wisdom. And abundance means, by the way, being happy for other people's happiness. And try to make them happy, and the karma will bring you this happiness to you. That's all about myself. I can give you also referral to ask about me.
Thank you, Thomas.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. You mentioned the bus drivers will come to the site, pick up their buses, and then go. So they're going to be parked overnight. How many?
3.
Okay.
I see you're concerned about you're concerned more about the buses.
Well,
We will not
concerned because you don't want to enlarge the size of parking spaces, but you want to park larger vehicles that may not fit and take up a space and a half that'll inhibit some of the other activities going on there.
Okay, I can prove to you that it's not going to be more than
But I think we addressed that. I think the chairman also raised that issue as well. So we would be agreeable to limit the size of the bus to a 15-passenger size, which Mr. Lieber testified would fit into that, the appropriate parking space. So we would agree to that as a restriction.
Or talk to the landlord, take 3 parking spaces and expand those 3.
Right, we can do that, but quite frankly, I've been to the site several times, and for the most part, the parking, there's 470 spaces, of which 270 are needed, given the various tenants. I think there's ample parking. Yeah, the question is, you're right, because obviously the buses are going to be located in close proximity to this facility. But we can certainly, to answer your other question, if Thomas went to the landlord and said, we need to take up 3 spaces or 5 spaces for the busing, I believe the landlord would agree.
yes, absolutely. Yes. There's more than enough spaces there for
I know that.
Right,
I know.
No, I understand. No, I understand your concern, big man.
it's a valid point.
Yeah, but again, just parking a bus there is kind of close for me. I have to keep the bus working, either in the other center if we need it, or we're not going to put everything in one and start, you know. So I don't think we're going to have any problem in transportation or making the traffic congestion.
Okay, moving on. How many understand at one shift? How many be working there?
11 at the most, they said.
11 working at a shift,
Yes,
employees?
yeah, if we have a full, the full people, the 120, yes, yes.
And the very front of the building, where the glass door is, parking in that small spot?
No, and by the road?
Between the road and the building, front door, any parking there?
No, only in the front
water.
of the door that I was mentioning, the one by where the bus will be dropped
Between building A and building
Right, yeah, something,
By
yeah.
the water?
Yeah.
On the water?
No,
The other side, the other side.
The other side.
The entrance is going to be on the south side of the building. It's going to be on towards B. That's what the entrance is where the bus is going to park.
Yeah, and that's why we choose
To
this.
the left side of the building.
By the way, because.
See where it says
away
bus
from-
marked in the parking spaces?
Oh, yeah.
And then where the two triangles are on the plan for the building? Right there on that same side right next, that's where the entrance is gonna be.
That's correct.
On the building.
They indicated that there's a door there.
Just look from where the bus is and almost go where the two arrows go backwards and then right there. Are you on page 3?
Okay.
You're gonna see him on page 3.
I don't have the drawing, that's the problem.
You don't have the third page?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, so it's stuck.
It's stuck together.
That'll make a difference.
That'll give you a different view.
He's like half the playbook, right?
Yeah.
I see the triangles, man.
Yeah, that's where they're gonna be, everybody's gonna be going in and out of those doors.
Okay, I thought you go through the front door. All right,
No, actually, that's an emergency exit, it looks like. Proposed alternate egress.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Well, Joe,
Joe? You're very smart, Mr.
no plans.
You have one vote now.
and by not providing the 3 copies of the different plans, would that be a hardship to you?
No.
No?
Mean the plans, you need 3 copies?
There's a whole list
Three
here that
sets?
the engineer is requesting that you provide, but you were saying you don't want to do that because of existing buildings.
Well, my understanding, Mr. Weaver can reiterate that, it's an existing building, and so we're not proposing any improvements. But obviously, should the board feel that one or more of those waiver requests are important, we could certainly discuss that.
All right. In my mind, the traffic study to be done. The signs, and put signs up, I'm sure.
I'm sorry, I went to the Department of Transportation and I saw the traffic count in this route. I always do this every time I buy property or business or something. I go to the Department of Transportation. You can go and find out how many cars drive by in every road or each street. So the car counts in this road is between. You can find it that it's right there in the department, but it's less than 100 every 2 minutes. Less than 100.
I think, Thomas, I think what he's suggesting is that he would want a more formal traffic study done by an engineer.
Yes, yes.
Which would be, you know, addressing both the on-site circulation, the number of trips in and out, the parking requirements, I presume that that's what you're talking about.
You had said earlier that the buses would be running errands during the day, so
Yes.
it's not just drop off and park and wait till the end of the shift. That's coming in and out all day long. On that one intersection that we mentioned before, it's pretty bad to get through there sometimes.
And it's only going to get worse in the next few years.
Yeah, they opened up those towers they're going to put across the riverfront. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Understood. Mark?
Yeah, I'm talking.
Okay, I'm sorry, did you have any other waivers? So you talked about the traffic study and what's the other one? Signage.
Right. And utilities. You said you're putting in, I'm sure the toilets in there, but you mentioned the toilets, the example.
Yeah, I was looking at that stuff, that's gonna all have to be.
This portable, this has nothing to do with construction, by the way. It's like portable. I can.
You're adding toilets.
No, I'm sorry.
You're adding toilets, you're adding to the sewage?
The one that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's separate company. I own. It's my. This is the device.
No, we're talking about the actual, in the facilities, the way the bathrooms and stuff are set up, they're not existing, that's all being built in there, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's gonna have to be to make sure that.
No, of course.
Yeah.
You know, the utilities and stuff.
And your construction
And
department.
then that's gonna have to go through the storage authority.
Storage department.
That was your question there. That was your question. Yes.
Yes, if you're adding toilets, a waste stream, you need to show the impact on the existing system.
Right.
Show
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
utility plan.
Yes.
We understand. Mr. Chairman, if the board is inclined to have us address those waiver items, the traffic study, utilities, and the signage, we would certainly be prepared to do that, but we have to come back, obviously, and provide that information.
Is that something our engineer feels is necessary?
I believe so, yes, because not only adding additional toilets, they have a salon for the hair.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can, the hair salon, it's, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry. It's not a hair salon that require sink and wash sink, the one that like in the hair salon. It's a room assigned for drying, hair drying. I mean, use the hair dryer for the seniors, native hair, not to use the sink because they were
No,
coming out from the shower, so it's just a room assigned for beauty care.
yeah, no, I understand that, but I think it's a little different point. I understand where you're going.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I get you wrong.
A couple things we need.
I'm sorry.
More information.
All right, fair. So, Mr. Chairman, we certainly would be prepared to come back and provide, are there any other waivers, do you think, would be appropriate? I mean, any other items on the waiver list that you believe would be appropriate that would not be eligible for, you wouldn't recommend a waiver? I guess a good way to put it.
It's just made up for the year again. I think they're the more important ones, and I guess the other thing is to make sure, I'm not sure if you can apply to the Fire Bureau and the Ocean County Planning Board and the Sewage Authority prior to the next meeting to see what their feeling
Sure.
is on this,
So that would be fire, Ocean County Planning,
and the Sewage Authority.
and the Sewage Authority.
Yes.
Okay, great.
If I may address the board, I think we may be putting the cart before the horse, because the major request here is a use variance. And I don't think you've given him the use variance.
Well, the thing is, like,
No, but I think, I'm sorry.
we were just discussing with Tom, said like, if we change the use variance of the building, and we give them permission, and it doesn't work out the way it is, now we have to change.
Now we
it.
already accepted the use.
And now we got to
So
change
now
it back to
now we're
something
open to anybody coming in there.
I think what I understood, correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think the board would like to see a traffic study, would like to see utility information and the signage, which would all weigh in on whether the use variance would be appropriate to be granted. Is that a fair estimation?
I can.
Hold on. So I think it would be helpful because it would also address the parking, the bus transportation issue, the on-site circulation, the number of trips coming in and out, and also whether the number of spaces we would need, maybe 5 or 6 or whatever the number would be to accommodate the buses while they're on site. So I just want to clarify or seek your confirmation that that's what you'd be looking for, so that if we do come back, you would want that information in advance, which would obviously give you more comfort level to be able to address those issues. Is that a fair statement?
Well, the one thing that I still am concerned with is the qualifications of the applicant to do it.
Fair enough.
Because what I'm also concerned with, like, you just can't open up a child daycare without having state approval,
Yes.
licenses and stuff like that. I understand he said, but you said he doesn't have the license for this one until he gets approved for the building?
Well,
Is that
because
how it
I'll
works?
explain
Yeah.
why. Under the Department of Health regulations, we cannot apply to the Department of Health until we have local approvals, whether it's, if you need zoning or the like. And that would, so what the way it works is, we would have to get approval from here, from this board. Then we would have our architect prepare construction drawings and final plans based on all the local approval. They would then file that with the New Jersey Department of Health. They then review all licensure requirements, qualifications, et cetera, of the applicant. And just like he has done, he does have approval from the Department of Health for his East Brunswick and Homedale location, so they've already looked at his qualifications and have already granted licenses for those facilities. So the same,
Are those the only licenses that are required for that?
there would be the Department of Health, and then the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Health Division also has to approve the construction plans. Then your local construction and fire department, sewer and water, they all get to look at the plans as well. And they would, but they can't issue a final building or construction permit until Department of Health and DCA sign off.
Okay.
And that's the way it works.
Like, well, I'm also, like, thinking like with daycare, I'm thinking child daycare, you gotta do background checks, there's a lot, I would think that there's a lot.
Right, and the Department of Health does all that. So the way it works is, Thomas will complete an application. They do background checks, correct?
On me?
With the Department of Health,
Yeah,
correct?
you did already.
Right, so they've already done a background check for him at his East Brunswick and Homedale locations. But they'll do it again. Each application stands on its own. So then, but we can't proceed to that step until we have local jurisdiction, zoning, planning, whatever it is. And then, for example, if this were permitted use in the zone, we could apply to the zoning officer and he could give us a zoning permit and then we could apply to the state, for example. But this is not permitted in the zone, so we need a use variance. So, once local jurisdiction issues the approval, Department of Health, he files an application, which is very detailed. They do a background check, they go through everything. They look at the construction drawings, they look at everything. They then issue a conditional approval. They forward those plans over to the Department of Community Affairs Health Division, who then also looks at it from a construction standpoint. Once we have those approvals, your local construction official and the construction department reviews the plans, and then they will issue a building permit with fire safety and the other departments weighing in on that also. And that's the way the process works.
Now I have a question for our engineer, Millicent.
Yes.
Once we approve this use, what are we opening ourselves up to as far as other uses that if his doesn't work out, that could come in?
I would check with the attorney, but I think it would just be the adult daycare. Wouldn't that
Just
be
the
only
adult
one?
daycare?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, just give me a chance to have.
I'm sorry, did you have a follow-up question? Or-
No, that answered it.
Okay.
This center you approved today will never be closed. Just for one small reason, because the state was paying $75 per person, now they paying $120. It could be mismanaged sometimes because of, I don't
No, I
know,
think-
but this is my job to put the right person there.
No, I think,
It will
Thomas,
never
I think
be
the-
closed.
I
It
think
will
the
never.
question was,
It's millions of dollars come to the town, by the way. It's not, 120, you do the math, 120 times 125 is too much money coming to the town. And I have no problem charging people free. If you guys don't have a senior center in the township, you should. East Brunswick, they have senior citizens in the library, and they are very appreciative to have our center there, so they don't have to worry about, having senior center at the township and be responsible. So we help them. At this time, I do have another space in Lakewood, and considered Ocean County, and I think doesn't require use variance, but I really love this town. I have many people here I really want to serve. I really want to do.
The place in Lakewood, where's it located?
It's 77, right in 77.
Route 7?
Yeah, 70 or 77? 70, yes. It's the same, similar to this, because I pick the warehouses or the cheaper renting. Let's say the cheaper square foot. So the other one is like very similar to this, and I don't know why it doesn't require use variance. And I don't know why it requires actual use variance, because
because adult daycare is not permitted in the zone.
Okay,
What kind of arrangement do you have with your landlord?
I'm sorry,
What kind of arrangement do you have with the landlord?
5 years and
5 year
five,
lease?
5 and 5, 5, 5 and 5.
What does that mean? What's
Five.
my 5 and 5? You renew it every 5
You have
years?
a 5-year lease
5
with an option for another 5.
and another 5.
And, right,
Yeah.
2 5-year options.
2 5 years. Personal guarantee. Like I lose everything if I don't pay them. So personal guarantee is not.
The landlord can say, I got other plans, did a good job, but I want the building back? That can't happen?
No, the lease is
Even
subject,
legally, yeah.
Thomas, the lease is subject to getting municipal approvals.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, yeah.
If we don't have the approvals, then there's,
But I think
Well,
what
I
Dave's
think-
asking,
yeah.
once he goes in there
yes,
and he's successful, they can't kick him out for basically 15 years?
he would have the right to, for the first, yes, correct. 5, 5, and 5, correct. He has an automatic right for a renewal of 10 years. 5 and 5, that's the way they do it.
His option, not the landlord.
His option.
He could.
So now you're thinking how to get rid of me after 15 years?
No, there's other,
Future use.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
We saw before, somebody took it and made a roller hockey in there. The landlord said, you did a good job, I want the building, threw him out.
Right, yeah.
It happens, it's life.
Understood.
Yeah, actually, usually, yeah, you're right.
So, right, so the point is he would have a 15-year longevity there, correct?
But our target in our business plan, and I don't know if I have to mention this, but one of the target, in the business plan, you have, one of the targets there is to own the building later on. Like the one in East Brunswick, we are working now to buy the building. It used to be daycare for children, right?
Alright, one?
The one, Mr. Lucas? The building,
Yes,
yeah, in East
correct.
Brunswick. So we are working on owning the building, not only, it's a big company, guys, it's not just not one single, we're trying to do our business.
That building's not freestanding, it's
Yeah,
part
I-
of one half of a
No,
larger
the
building.
location in East Brunswick is a freestanding building
Right.
that was occupied and owned by a daycare facility.
Oh,
They
okay.
went out of business, and now Thomas is under lease for that property. And he has an approval.
But if he was looking to buy this, he would be looking to buy all of Building A, because it's part of the
Yeah, I think we
existing
have this
facility.
option in the list.
I don't recall that.
I mean, that's what he said he intended.
He may be right, yeah.
That's our intention, our goal in the business plan.
So, Mr. Chairman, I guess the point is if you and the board members feel that that additional information would be helpful, we
Yeah,
could
it's
certainly.
very helpful.
Okay.
Not only would it be very helpful, short on time, but I'm trying to figure out, you said you're in the process of buying a building, but you haven't opened the daycare yet.
Which building? No,
I
we're not
think that's
possibly buying
just
it.
his
So,
goal.
sir, this is.
No, no,
Yeah, no, that's his business plan.
No, I think
It's
it's
investment, it's, most likely, if you want to.
You have a very ambitious mind.
No,
You should stay close to this.
yeah, he's my, he's very smart,
Yes.
smart person. I'm not.
Any other questions?
I have no more. I'd like to open it up to the public.
Sure.
If he did come up with anything that might help out later.
You guys okay?
The guy is sitting back there the whole time, and got nothing.
I do have a question.
There you go.
I do have a question. The question I have.
You might want to just,
He has to come up, state his name, address.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
And your name, sir?
Stephen Heaney, I'm the chief of the Manitoba Fire Company.
Yeah,
Address?
Yeah.
1116 Ninth Avenue.
take the haircut.
Is that?
No, Billy.
Really? Yeah. My question is, I work in healthcare. What are the qualifications required for the administrator of the, I understand how the Department of Health works, I understand how DCA works, but my question is, I know what the qualifications are required for a licensed nursing home administrator, assisted living administrator, hospital administrator. What are the requirements for the administrator of a adult daycare center?
You mean what's the job description or what's?
No, what's the requirement? Are they certified? Are they licensed by any?
No, there is no license required for administration,
Okay.
but it's most likely most of the administration work will be like registering a new person, dealing with insurance, but we do have social workers at the facility, like one social worker required by the state of New Jersey, and I forgot to say that it's one social worker.
I understand how the Medicaid.
Yeah, but the administrator, any college graduate, they can understand the job, very easy to do. It's a computer job, registering people, dealing with insurance, see the.
And are there regulations associated with?
No,
the,
no, Mr. I mean, as far as license and certificate, no.
Not for the assisted, for the adult daycare?
No, not that I know.
There's no regulatory aspect?
No,
And there are
not that I know.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just got one more question. It's kind of like a personal question, like you keep saying how you're attached to this area, you're attached to this town.
Yeah.
Are you attached to South Tom's River or Ocean County?
No, to Tom's River because my name is
Tom's
Thomas.
River or South Tom's River?
No, I have many friends.
No, it's a serious question because basically you were saying that you're very attached to this area. This is
Not-
South Tom's River you're here for.
Yeah, like I
Bill,
said,
but I'm asking, is it Tom's River? Because that's what you're basically, seems like you're attached to. And it's really no bearing on the fact, it's just personal.
okay. Yes, you're right. I'm really attached to this township because when I came here first, I also have friends here. I know this township for a long time, but when I first came
This
here,
borough?
this
or
township, South Towns River, I
Borough.
think there is many opportunity in this town can be done, not only the adult care. I drove around the township. This township can be a star in Motion County. I don't know why you ignoring this beauty of South Towns River. I don't know.
We're not. That's
look-
why
look at the lake.
I take a lot of pride in South Towns River. That's why, kind of like the name bothers me a little bit, because you said you didn't want to get attached to
Yeah, I
South
did
Towns
point
River,
that, okay.
being called South Towns River like it's the borough's adult daycare. But you're okay with Tom's River. Now, why wouldn't you call it Ocean County? Because then you're open broader.
No,
Am I
because
correct?
maybe in the future I can add maybe Lakewood adult daycare, like in town, one in each town if required, not only one in each town. And like I said before, we can add this or to make it more
We can
specific.
talk about that, but
Yeah,
that's
I have
a
no problem.
concern
Like
that I have. you
yeah,
know?
I understood, Thomas explained it to me, Councilman, that I guess, obviously the towns are in close proximity. I think he was looking at it more from a regional standpoint, but I understand your point.
I'm very.
I get it. I served in, I also, in my other life, served in political office, so I get it. And so I happen to grow up in Lakewood. So I think we're open to that. I think that was more of a corporate formation
I
type
don't know if
issue.
that's something we would even be allowed to do.
No, but the point is, it's, I guess you're making the point that if you're going to be located in our borough, the name should reflect that. But I don't think that the intent was not to suggest that.
Yeah, or Ocean County, it opens it up to the whole
Fair enough.
county.
Right. That's a simple name change. I think at this point, I think the board's got to be comfortable with the use, the applicant, the operator, and all the issues that you've discussed. So that's what we're prepared to do.
You guys know the pyramid, the Egyptian pyramid, you know these things, Mr. Chairman? You know the pyramid? I'm from Egypt, the pyramid. My dad told me how to build pyramid, not an adult daycare. So if you want to have pyramid here in South Towns River, you should hire me.
You gotta watch out for pyramids.
Yeah, that's where I thought he was going.
That's what I thought.
Just one like.
I know we.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah, thank God I was successfully during my time here in America, and thank God God has been giving me good things during my life here, good children, good family, and I had some difficulties, but thank God he was a big help during my 25 years here in America.
I grew up at the corner of Georgianport and right across from Georgianport University and 9th Street. My house directly faced the entrance of the university. Well, now it was college. It was college. Now it's university.
You didn't leave home?
That's where Mookie Wilson's house.
What's that?
Mookie Wilson's house. Right up the street.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Played baseball for many years.
Because when I was there were only 30,000 people there.
I got one final question.
Sure.
Before senior one steps in the door, there's all kinds of state inspections, it's certified.
Monthly, yes.
It's not
No,
that we're experts in, but there are experts who look at it and say, you're good to go.
So what happens is the Department of Health reviews not only the applicant's qualification, they actually looked at the detailed floor plans, all the construction details, they look at fire safety, they look at the employees that are going to be operating, they look at everything. It's a very rigid, strict licensure program. Once they approve, they then send over the plans to the DCA Health Division. They also issue, because they have jurisdiction obviously over construction, the Uniform Construction Code. They then send a memo to your local construction official here and say, we've now approved the plans in accordance with Department of Health and DCA, but you now have to review them per your local code. And then once for a building permit. And fire safety is involved. So it is a very rigorous process.
So
And he's been through it twice.
And once we decide on the use, the experts take over to make sure it's all the fears.
Conforms with all the.
Right, because it's very possible that you approve the use, but the state doesn't approve the license. I don't think that's likely, given the fact that he's now had 2 locations approved, but everything's on a case-by-case basis and site-specific.
For the state of New Jersey, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll ask the attorney. Once we approve the use,
You could put a condition on the use.
it's only conditioned to this
Yes.
applicant. Okay.
That was, I was gonna ask that same question.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in East Brunswick and in Homedale, the ultimate resolution, one of the conditions was, well, certificate of
Of course,
occupancy.
always you have to get the whatever agent's approval to move forward.
Right.
So you would put the agency rules on. So you could put that as a condition, subject to approval by the state regulatory boards, or the fire department, water sewer. If they all stamp okay, then he can go forward. If they don't, then the use is gone.
Then,
No, because if they turn it down, then, we may not want it for the next person that might come along and say, well, it's already approved use now.
right, I mean, your use would only, your use variance approval would only run to the applicant's use at that location. Not, but it's conditional, eventually, right? If you approve it with conditions, and we don't meet those conditions, the facility can never open.
And if we were to approve the use, we could put a limit, because you don't, I see in the plans and all, there's no plans for beds, like.
No, that's no.
Like
No,
in
you
the
can
future.
just-
No.
Correct.
So that, we would want to make sure that that was
No,
put in as a condition that absolutely.
Absolutely,
So you'd
absolutely.
have to put that, you'd have to put that in
As
there.
a condition.
You'd have to put that in as a condition.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that, by the way, that condition was also in the other resolutions in East Brunswick and Hometown.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
They put it in.
Yes. But the applicant agreed anyway, so, yeah. So it's not that type of facility.
Is that something, like, we can look at those other resolutions from the other towns? Or is that something?
They're public record, but I don't know why you would need to.
Oh, no, I was just wondering in case so we don't miss something.
I don't think this board would miss anything.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest.
I think you got good counsel.
Again,
Just
responsibility.
the questions you've asked are very insightful.
Yeah, and as in, as in any variance approval, all the outside agencies that would be required, in this case, Department of Health, Department of Community Affairs, Fire, Sewer Authority, Utilities, everything needed to operate this facility will all be subject to those approvals. And you have to see those approvals before the construction official can issue a building permit.
Responding to your question again about the staff, the state of New Jersey, they have standards. I have here in my phone the PDF standards of how to run the facility, and they come once a month to make sure that we are working according to
They
the
inspect,
standards.
correct?
Yes, the inspection, monthly inspection, not only like here in the license, yes. Same as child daycare, they do the same thing in the child daycare.
Right.
Because I run child daycare.
Mr. Chairman, when would you like us to come back? We will obviously need to get the traffic study and the other information for your professional, so when would you like us to come
I'll come
back?
back next month.
We have 30 days.
30 days enough time.
Is 30 days enough time? If not, it'll be 60 days.
When's your next meeting? July?
July 18th.
You'd have to notice and advertise again.
Do you want us to notice and advertise?
Or doesn't have to, because we would table it?
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
guys,
we
before we
continue.
go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Hammond, I think if I see wasting your time and my money, I think it's better for me to look for something less headache and less money, right? It makes sense, right? But I will pay rent to start from next month, and it's too much rent, thousands a month. But if I see myself losing here, although I love this town,
How would you be paying
I
rent on
don't
something
see,
that hasn't been approved yet?
I'm sorry?
You might want to talk to your client.
I don't know when, we have to check on the rent commencement date.
Next month.
Okay, you could be right, I don't have the
July.
in front of me, but.
So basically, what he's
You said
asking,
that
if we
the-
can't make a decision tonight, then he may not want to proceed.
No.
Because you
No, I
just,
didn't
hold on,
mean
wait,
that. No, I
hold
didn't
on,
mean that.
stop.
No, it's not.
You stated that it was predicated on tonight.
No, not
You
tonight.
said, no. You said it was predicated on approval, that we gave the approval for the site in order for the lease.
That's my understanding.
So if it's being tabled, how are you starting to pay rent? You're picking yourself into a.
Yeah, I don't, Thomas, I'm not sure.
For me?
Mr. Thomas, I'm not sure when the rent
Stand
commencement
next
date
to
is,
him.
let's check on that. I think my understanding is the lease is subject to getting a local zoning.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Thomas, don't take it personally. We
No.
all have questions. We're people who care deeply
No, no,
about our
I
town.
don't understand English
No,
anyway.
no, that's okay. Yes, you do.
You
We just want to
understand
make
English.
sure we have a clear understanding of what is involved
Yes, I
in this
understand.
procedure. So don't take it personally.
No, 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 no.
You know, all good things take time.
This is my
okay?
first time, don't worry, I'll know.
Thomas, I
love you
think,
all,
I
by
think
the
what the
way.
board is, I think the message they're
I-
sending us is they'd like to see this additional information
Right.
before they can fully assess whether they feel comfortable granting the use variance. I think
Right.
that's a fair way to say that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think they're asking very thoughtful questions,
Yes.
and
And it's against the law if I'm charge you rent in a building that's not,
Oh.
that doesn't have a CO, so you think it's.
no, I'm not concerned. I agree with
So
you.
let's go.
Hi.
All right,
So-
table it for 30 days.
Yeah, let me
and
just,
come back.
Mark, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure he's available. Mark,
We put a motion in?
are you available July 18th?
Yes.
Okay, July 18th will work, Mr. Chairman.
Tell Mark, ask Mark if he's available to be
You're on vacation.
present. on
Yes,
the
can you
18th,
be
not
present
over
on
the phone.
July 18th, Mark?
That
Mark?
would be fabulous.
Okay, and Bill, are you available July 18th?
I am available.
Okay, perfect.
What do we have in 30 days again?
We need to do, we need to get some information to the board, traffic study, some other things, I'll go over it.
That takes 30 days or less?
Well, that's the next meeting that's available.
Oh.
Yeah,
We only meet monthly.
yeah, they need.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, yeah.
In this month.
Mr. Chairman, that'll work for us.
Do we have a motion to table till July 18th?
I'll make a motion.
Let's see.
And that's without notice, because we're continuing, right?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Counselor Rollhausen?
Yes.
Mr. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Bieber?
Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice President. Thank you, buddy, thank you so much. Thanks, my friend. Thank you so much.
Guys, I'm gonna sign off.
Thank you, my friend.
Bill, thank you. Wait. Good night. Okay, take care.
Sorry?
Yeah.
We still got
Great.
there.
So, we don't have any bills. All right, well, that's good. You got the chairman's report?
No minute.
And then there is some correspondence from Coastal Environmental LLC and the Ocean County Soil.
Thank you for your insight.
Conservation. So, reading it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
And do we have any questions
Guys,
from the public?
thanks.
Any more questions from the public?
Soil conservation, to do with that site over there. We've trying to say for a while, I think it's industrial. And now they're being told that they have to by next week. Yep. With the winds the last few days, it's been.
22nd.
Oh, it's tomorrow, yeah.
Blowing off the land.
The dust, they stripped everything, so the dust is blowing so hard across the property that the neighbors are getting slammed with the dust and the vibrations, so, but the dust abatement, I knew soil conservation eventually.
No, right here behind.
Well, that was the other one.
On Chamberlain, right?
The apartments where they cleared
That
the
was
wall.
okay.
The other one's for the living shoreline, is that correct, that the town?
Yes, coastal is the living shoreline.
Yeah,
What about the MT application?
next one.
That's for next month.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're gonna be back, this one's gonna be back, and then
Yeah.
Find an
they're.
overnight stay.
Are we gonna get, do we have
All right.
the revised plans for everything?
Yeah.
Yes.
You want me to go get
Because that's why the
them?
fire company was here. 'cause we
Well,
thought
let's
they were here
adjourn,
today.
let's adjourn
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
Do we have a motion to
I gotta be
adjourn?
in Church
I'll
State
make the
Prison
motion.
an hour.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And actually,
Any opposed?
nope.
Thanks for everyone.
Actually, Millis, you've been looking at the thing for